Welcome to the Green Wave Coaches Show with Gallatin football head coach Michael Stroup and Gallatin News sports editor Blaine Kellar. The Green Wave Coaches Show is brought to you by Tennessee Ace Hardware. Football season is grilling season, so stop by Tennessee Ace Hardware today and check out their large selection of Big Green Egg grills. Also brought to you by Double Dogs, Sumner County's favorite sports bar. Dairy Berries Heating and Air. Dairy Berries has been voted Sumner County's best heating and air service for the past 9 years. For outstanding service, give them a call today. And finally, by Tennessee Highway Safety Office, reminding you that fans don't let fans drive drunk. Now here are Coach Michael Stroup and Blaine Kellar.
It's the season finale of the Green Wave Coaches Show, brought to you by Double Dogs, Dairy Berries Heat and Air, and Tennessee Ace Hardware. I'm Sumner County Sports Editor Blaine Kellar, here to recap the season with Gallatin football coach Michael Stroup. Coach Stroup, thank you for joining us for one final show of the year. I'm really appreciative of your attendance for the last 2 seasons, just sticking around and answering these questions for us.
Yeah, I mean, it would be awkward if I didn't show up, right?
Well, I thought honestly today that might have been a situation where we had to punt, but glad that we get to field some more questions with you for one final time in 2024. Green Wave fell 49-31 to Lebanon in a win-in game for the Region 4 6A final playoff spot. Coach, it's the first time Gallatin's been out of the playoffs since 2015. What was your reaction, maybe with players afterward? That's a tough pill to swallow, and your reaction just throughout the weekend.
I mean, first and foremost, I thank the seniors for their dedication and the work they had put into, the time that they were with the program. A lot of reflection this past weekend. You've got to, as a head coach, you've got to, reflect, watched a lot of film. And just thinking about the future and moving forward and what can make this program better.
Is there any big takeaway that you get from that reflecting, from that film that you were able to watch over the weekend?
Well, I mean, it's kind of like peeling back an onion. I mean, there's so many different layers to it, and I know, in a world we live in, everybody wants results instantaneously, and it just doesn't happen that way, not on our level anyway. So you've got to. For me, I have to line a lot of things up with the individual, the scheme. What can we do better as coaches, and so forth. So, and everything plays a factor in that. I went back, and I even went back and watched some of the teams that I've coached in the past, and just kind of looked at their numbers and and how it panned out. So
When you talk about that instant gratification, in your first year, you guys were kind of able to have that though with a 7-win season. How do you describe things kind of flipping on their head this year?
Well, I mean, again, I think we ended the season a lot how we started it. Just a lot of inexperience. But when you play a certain amount of games, you got to tend to get better. And it's like I told the kids Friday night after we played. We're going. When spring football rolls around, we're just going to hit each other, and there's not going to be a whole lot of individual drills, and there's not going to be a whole lot of scheme being put in place. We're going to hit each other in the face over and over and over, until we just get tougher.
And how have you employed that before? At other schools, and seen success out of just going back to the probably basic of basics of football?
I mean, sure. I mean, there's nothing that can replace toughness, and I don't care what kind of athlete you are. I don't care how good an athlete you are. If you're not tough, you're not going to be very good, or you're not going to be able to withstand it anyway. But that's just what we've got to do. We've got to do a better job of getting these kids prepared, and in that way, I mean, we got to get them tough. I think we live in a world where everybody wants to accountability is hard pill to swallow in this day and age. And everybody wants to, I won't say everybody, but it's always somebody else's fault. Nobody wants to take the blame for it. But in my seat, I take all the responsibility because it all falls on my shoulders, and I've got to be the one to fix it. I can't blame this person or that person or what it may be. Yeah, I've got to take the blame for it, and I've got to correct it.
I think you've touched on it a little bit through those last couple of questions, but has there been a consistent theme that you've taken away from how this season panned out?
A theme?
Yeah, just kind of something that you narrow things down to. Toughness kind of sounds like one of them, just something that you can pinpoint, narrow down, and correct going into the spring.
Well, I think that, again, you have to, we've got to build toughness, and we've got to get kids to be accountable and understand that it starts with them as an individual. Then that gets contagious either way. But yeah, I think once we get back in the weight room, once we get going in the spring, I'll be able to know a whole lot more about these kids, and I just take a different approach with them. I didn't have to do that my first year here because I thought, well, we had kids that would come up and strike you defensively. This year we just, for some reason or other, it just never did transpire that way. So we got to do a better job there.
Yeah, run us through the process of wrapping up this season, putting a bow on kind of everything that's happened, and then preparing for whatever you do in the winter, whatever you're able to do in the spring. What does that look like within your program?
I don't know if you put a bow on anything that we did this year. I think you got to you just got to scrap it and look what we did, how we did it, and get rid of everything that was wrong. Again, we can go out there and we can do as many routes on air as we want to, or we can line up against trash cans all we want to, whatever. But again, football comes down to one thing, and that's toughness. That's the reason a lot of people don't play it. A lot of kids don't play it because it's tough. It's hard. And that's why a lot of parents don't want them to play, because it's tough and hard. And so we've got to get the right guys out here to who want to be tough and hard.
What's the challenge going to look like next year? When you talk about scrapping, that means kind of looking ahead. Losing your leading rusher, Jaden Hoskins, having to replace a lead back again. It'll be the third time that you've done it in the 3 years. 3 years you've been here. Leading receiver, of course, Jeremiah Williams made strides and impacts across his past 2 years in your system. Mm-hmm. And then losing Micah Bell, of course, the defense had its struggles this year, but Micah was somebody who was one of your top contributors, leading tacklers. What's the challenge in having to replace those guys while also trying to turn the tide from this year?
The next guys just got to step up, and we got to be able to identify them, and whoever that may be. We've got to get the guys ready, and there's and Jeremiah's done a real good job for us the past 2 years. I think he's probably caught, I don't know, maybe 100-something balls the past 2 years. And Jade did a good job for us this year. I think he ended up with 700 yards rushing. So
missing a couple games in there too. So,
yeah, he missed the first 4 games. He missed the first four games. But we've got to do. Defensively, Micah was there. I think he had somewhere around 100 tackles. And I've always been a firm believer in not taking anything away from Micah Bell. He played awfully hard. But if you got a lot of tackles, that means you played a lot of defense. A lot of people look at tackles and say, well, that kid had 123 tackles. I'm going to say, well, that kid was out there on that football field a long time too. So, you 3 and outs, we got to harp on that. We got to simplify some things, offensively and defensively and just make improvements.
What do those tweaks look like coaching-wise, simplifying things?
Well, I just think we got to put the best kids in the right positions, and we got to put them in a position to be successful, whether it be offensively or defensively. I think that a kid like Micah Jenkins, who is our second leading receiver on the team, He could have helped us out as a junior. But it's getting those kids to understand. And he had an injury. He broke his ankle early on in the process when I first got here, so he was out about half the year. But create more competition, get kids out there that can, create a competition environment and get more kids to contribute.
How do you see that in the running back room in particular? Do you see kind of way too early prediction here? Do you see Cage as being the front runner to take that spot in place of Jaden, or do you kind of see the likelihood of someone else filling in that role?
I think everybody's going to have an opportunity to compete. Cage is going to have some experience back there early on in the season, but he's going to have to do some things to get a little larger. So, I got fly in my face.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You're going to
Fly's
cut that
bothering
out.
you.
Yeah, it's all over me. Sorry. But Cage, I think, Cage is going to have a leg up on him. But it's going to be open for competition. We're going to put the best guy back there. So,
Gallatin, of course, known really for its running back play these last couple of years, and the last couple running backs that have come through Gallatin's offensive have been key parts of making this work for you. Coach, one more before we go into the break. Most losses for Gallatin since 2012 with a 3-7 season. For you, most losses since 2013 when you were at Scotts Hill. I've asked coaches in the high school realm this before, and I'm not sure how you'll approach it. Is there frustration for a head coach when you go through a season like this?
If I had not been through a season like this, I could see there would be frustration, and there is, but you've got to be mature enough to kind of see through the clutter a little bit and understand what we've got to do to get better. And I'm not a 35-year-old rookie head coach anymore, so I can do that.
Once we come back from the break, we'll talk about how Gallatin in particular could flip things around in Coach Straup's third year. We'll be right back on the Green Wave Coaches Show.
Football season is grilling season. The Big Green Egg is the perfect grill for everyone, from the backyard cook to the world's most acclaimed chefs. Stop at Tennessee Ace Hardware today and check out our large selection of Big Green Egg grills. It's the perfect grill for any grilling need.
Toby knows comfort, whether day or night. Through the highs and the lows, Toby knows. You've put it off long enough. That old system is just out with the old, in with the new. We'll make it worthwhile all the way through. Derryberry is your local independent train dealer. It's hard to stop a train. Visit DerryberryAC.com today and schedule a visit. Derryberry Heat and Air, making customers for life.
The Green Wave Coaches Show continues. Blaine Kellar, Michael Stroup, and this fly that keeps bothering us. Make a couple of guest appearances throughout our second segment here. Coach, as we talk about you kind of being experienced in this particular situation of having a down year before at Scotts Hill and at USJ, you were able to turn those ships around pretty quickly. Next season, after Scotts Hill, a 2-8 year, turned that to 7-5. USJ went 4-6. The next year, 10-4. Are there similarities to what you went through this year at Gallatin? Is there anything different with it being such a larger school than those two?
I think that, well, first of all, we had a lot of injuries early on in the season here, and probably late in the season. I mean, Jaden had a high ankle sprain the whole time. Jeremiah battled high ankle sprain as well. Jackson, we just had his knee looked at yesterday, so he's been battling a knee issue all for the last 6 weeks, and plus he tore his hamstring early on in the season, so he's been playing injured all year. We were just beat up and not a lot of depth, but we just got to be able to, here's the thing, all those turnarounds, whether it be Scottsdale or whether it be at USJ, I mean, I played a little part in it, but I don't take any credit at all. It's the kids. The kids is what turned it around. They just decided, they were going to listen and be attentive and be accountable for what they did. I've always said I've never scored a touchdown. Since becoming a coach, I've never scored one. I've never made a tackle. It's nothing I did. I was just kind of there to guide them, and so. It all depends on the kids and the kids' attitude, and that's what we're working on, building a culture here.
I don't know if you like to look at things retrospectively, but when you mentioned Jackson's injury, just how different of a year could it have been with him fully healthy at the quarterback spot?
Well, I don't know how much it would have been better because we had some issues at other positions on the field, but. It's a nagging thing, and it's always in the back of your mind. And he played through it. He's a tough kid. Jeremiah was a tough kid too. But he played through it, and like the last game we're playing, and he comes over and he's like, my knee feels like it's on fire. And so the worst thing you can think is, I hope nothing's torn.
Right. Especially last game of the year.
Right. But we went and got checked out. Everything's fine. It's just, a bursa sac had busted up in there, and it kind of filled his knee up a little bit. So, but I don't know. I mean, if and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas. So.
Love that phrase. I've never heard that before.
You've never heard that?
Never heard that once.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, so, but it's true. So, you can't worry about injuries. You can't blame all that stuff. We just got to play better football. Mm-hmm. We got to play better football on both sides of the ball, and, that's the goal.
You expect Jackson to be fully recovered by the start of next year? You make it sound like it's a knee injury that's not going to be something that's nagging with some rest.
Yeah, he's fine. He's back on the back porch last night playing the guitar, so he's fine.
Plays the guitar?
Yeah, and the piano.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you know a lot of songs?
Mm-hmm.
We'll say that for the fun question.
Okay.
When you look at your 3 phases, Coach, offense, defense, special teams, is there one that you put a priority on going into next year to try to get right, so to speak?
Defense. Yeah. We're going to try to tackle people this year. We're going to try to put our face mask through somebody else's body. That's our goal.
Of course, in practice in the spring ball, you talked about really making an emphasis of that and just tackling and hitting each other. What else can you guys do schematically? Is there anything you do schematically to get that fixed?
Nothing. Just hit the person in front of you. Destroy them. That's it. That's going to be the mentality, And, either kids will rise to the occasion or they'll go find something else to do, like play golf or something. So.
What's your confidence, Coach, in the ability to not only get that side of the ball corrected, but to, and I know you say it comes down to the players and what they're able to do, but what's your confidence in their ability to get it right next year?
Oh, I think I have full confidence in them. We just can't keep making the same mistakes and stepping on our own toes. And, but when you're physical, right, then that takes care of itself. So, if I'm a linebacker and I'm leading and I got a run coming at me and you want to tackle the guy with the ball, right? Sure. But there's a guy in front of you that's trying to stop you from doing that. You have to sometimes run through that guy to go tackle that guy. Or sometimes you can run through him and throw that guy into the ball carrier and there's a tackle made. Or you help a teammate out making a tackle. We can't run around blocks. We can't be slow getting to the hole. arm tackle. We can't do all that mess. We've got to learn to be physical and, just be like Vikings.
Do you evaluate the staff side of things and the responsibilities that your staff has, or do you have faith in how they were able to kind of coordinate things this year?
Oh, I evaluate everything down to the water girls, and some of them may not be safe. So, we've got to do a better job all around. I think our coaches work their rear end off. But it just hasn't showed up out there on Friday nights. If there's some things we can do differently during the course of the week to get these kids ready, 100%. And we'll, and I'm getting ready to talk to those guys about those things. But I think they're exceptional hard workers and they're loyal, and so that can go a long way.
Is there any added motivation, maybe for you or for Jackson? Of course, I'm going to ask an obligatory Jackson question here. With the last season of you two getting to coach and play together coming up,
we haven't really thought about it much.
I mean, yeah, it's a week after the season ended, but
no.
That's got to be a thought that maybe crosses one of your minds.
Eventually it will when we get to that bridge, but it just hasn't. No.
Is there one thing, as you've gone through your film study and gone through all of this evaluation process, that you would change at the start of the year if you were able to?
Yeah, I'd hit each other more. That's the thing. It's kind of be like the Junction Boys and Texas A&M back in the 50s. We're just gonna line up, and I'm sure there's gonna be police officers around and people from DHA and all that other stuff. So we're fitting to get tough around here. So
about to get tough, yeah. About to get nasty. At Gallatin in the line as well. That's a recap of Gallatin's 3-7 season under second-year coach Michael Stroup, and look ahead to what might be coming in 2025 for the Green Wave. We'll take one more break here on the Green Wave Coaches Show, and as we've already kind of spoiled and alluded to, we'll have our last fun question of the year with Michael Stroup. Stay tuned.
Football season is grilling season. The Big Green Egg is the perfect grill for everyone, from the backyard cook to the world's most acclaimed chefs. Stop at Tennessee Ace Hardware today and check out our large selection of Big Green Egg grills. It's the perfect grill for any grilling need.
Toby knows comfort, whether day or night. Through the highs and the lows, Toby knows. You've put it off long enough. That old system is just out with the old, in with the new. We'll make it worthwhile all the way through. Derryberry is your local independent train dealer. It's hard to stop a train. Visit DerryberryAC.com today and schedule a visit. Derryberry Heat and Air, making customers for life.
Closing out the 2024 Green Wave Coaches Show with one fun question with Coach Michael Stroup. You alluded to it earlier. Talk to me about Jackson's musical background, playing piano and guitar. Is that do you have any influence on that, or is that more?
Well, that'd probably be my mother-in-law and my brother-in-law. They're both musically inclined, and he just picked it up by ear. He's never
taken lessons.
Never had a lesson.
Wow.
No, and he just teaches himself Different songs. I know, let's see, I think he just learned to play Iris by
The Goo Goo Dolls. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, the piano part. There's some songs he plays. I'm not familiar with any of them, but I think he's learned to play 9 Inch Nails song too.
Man, pretty good selection there.
Yeah. It's the one that Johnny Cash redid, but I know it as 9 Inch Nails. I can't remember what the name of it is, but Johnny Cash redid it. I think Hurt. I think that's the name of it.
Is that something that he wants to continue going into college? I mean, at this point in time, you guys are probably kind of discussing what his future educationally looks like, right?
I don't know. He just he picked it up as he did the piano first, and which I thought was, just learning it by ear was one thing.
Impressive.
Yeah. So he then he picked up a guitar and started strumming it, and it it can get annoying sometimes because sometimes he chooses to play at like 10 o'clock at night, where I'm kind of like, okay, well, the bar's shutting down, so let's not do that. But yeah, my mother-in-law, and his grandmother and his uncle both kind of influenced on that deal.
Got the acoustic guitar for him?
Yeah, acoustic. Yeah, no electric. No, he's not.
That'd probably be too loud if
right.
if the guitar's too loud.
Yeah.
Guitar, piano. What's up next for him?
I don't know. He can't draw very well. He's not an artist. I got that gift from my mom. So
really?
You can
draw.
Yeah, I can. I'm a closet artist. I don't go out there and promote it as much as I probably should. But yeah.
That's a fun note that I'll stash for next season. Have you bring on some of your work on the Green Wave Coaches Show.
Right.
Thank you so much for tuning in throughout this season, covering Gallatin football. We'll see you back here next fall. Be sure to check our coverage on Main Street Preps and the Gallatin News for all other Gallatin athletics through the winter and spring.
You've been watching the Green Wave Coaches Show with Gallatin football head coach Michael Stroup and Gallatin News sports editor Blaine Kellar. The Green Wave Coaches Show is brought to you by Tennessee Ace Hardware, Double Dogs, Derryberry's Heating and Air, and the Tennessee Highway Safety Office.
Football season is grilling season. The Big Green Egg is the perfect grill for everyone, from the backyard cook to the world's most acclaimed chefs. Stop at Tennessee Ace Hardware today and check out our large selection of Big Green Egg grills. It's the perfect grill for any grilling need.
Hey, Toby. Toby knows comfort, whether day or night. Through the highs and the lows, Toby knows. You've put it off long enough. That old system is just out with the old, in with the new. We'll make it worthwhile all the way through. Derryberry is your local independent train dealer. It's hard to stop a train. Visit DerryberryAC.com today and schedule a visit. Derryberry Heat and Air, making customers for life.